What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening with the market moving forward as we have some more important levels to discuss. And what's happening right now as we're about to see a new shift right now. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer is very soon in just 4 days. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, as far as the market's going right now, we're seeing a bit of a pullback as we're approaching some critical supports. So, the market's trying to make a turn here. I did mention yesterday we did see a tight range, and that's why it could be seeing a small dip to start things off. That's what's happening so far. Now, just know that for today, there's nothing too crazy coming out in terms of data. Most of the data for the rest of the day is going to be very minor. We just have some crude oil reports coming out to the stock changes. Then there's also news that as far as the market's been going, we started off with a nice pump, at least for the week. But as things are progressing, as time is going on, the market's starting to slow. And we'll have to see if this move lasts because there's a big shift. Besides that, there's nothing that's too crazy that came out in the news. I was looking through this, nothing too insane. So I'm gonna kind of like skip over that part. Now for the options chain, just know that we have about 300 and almost a little bit over 360,000 calls expiring, and we have about 368 plus thousand puts expiring. We have 1.02 put to call ratio with 596 being max pain. As of right now, we'll see if that shifts. But when you have an option chain like that, there might be a lot of chop that comes out. In this case, we're seeing SPY tip a little bit, but watch this very, very key support. So look at 598 on SPY. We need to hold 598 to try to get a rebound back into the 600s, especially to fill this gap around 600.37. If we don't hold 598, though, this is going to be at risk of dipping towards like the mid 590s. Very close to about 596 would be our next target, a little bit under that. So watch 598 and see if that holds. If it does not hold, we're looking for a pullback to about 595.9 or below. If we hold 598, we could attempt to rebound to fill this gap back up towards the 600s. So just watch those levels very closely. Now, there might be a lot of chop that also happens simultaneously, but the move is looking a little bit weaker here, so look for a bit of a dip. We could dip a little bit close to about 598 flats, and we'll see if we get a bounce off either 598 or 596. But for now, there's going to be a small dip here, and then we'll have to see if we get bought back up as time goes on. So be careful with this small dip that is coming to the markets. We'll have to watch our supports just to see if they hold. And then if they do hold, there might be a little bit of chop that comes out as well, just to see the pure direction. For ES, we're seeing a bit of a dip to about 60.63. I do think it might dip a little bit more. If that does not hold us, we're looking for essentially the 60-40 area. But then between 60-40 and 60-60, we could see some buyers defend, and we might see a lot of chop after that. For Nvidia, we're looking a little bit weaker here, returning on the 4-hour. We might be looking for a dip to about 137.8, if not with the 136s. There's also a possible inverse head and shoulders like structure that could be developing here. So if you look at this, there's like a left shoulder here, there's a head up here, and then we could be forming like a right shoulder. So there might be a small dip on Nvidia. Just keep that in mind, guys. That could take us down to 137.8, if not below. And then we'll see if we get some kind of bounce or not off these key EMAs. So watch that very, very closely. I'll have to see how things end up going from here. For Bitcoin, we have a very, very interesting structure. We're on a bit of a downtrend here. We're looking for 97,460. If we reject here, we could be dipping a little bit lower, back down to 94,885 or below. And then we'll have to see if we bounce. But there's a bit of a downtrend here, so look for a little bit of a dip. For other factors out there, we have Tesla. Tesla's dipping to about 448. We have to see if that holds. If not, 445 is coming. But off one of those supports, it could attempt to rebound back up towards these resistance areas. So look for a small dip to about 448, if not 445, and we'll see if buyers come back. So watch that very closely. For NQ, we're looking for a dip back down to about 21,856. If that fails us, we're looking for essentially 21,750. We'll have to see if we bounce off one of those levels. Might be a small dip on NQ for now, but watch those two supports I called out. For the QQQ, it's also dipping a bit to look for support at 526. If that does not hold, we're looking for 524. We got to hold at least 524 to bounce. If we don't hold that, then this could start dumping a little bit harder, so just be careful. But look for a dip towards that 524 to 526 area, and we'll see if we bounce or not. If we lose 524, I'll be a little bit more concerned. So just keep watching this very, very closely. Hopefully, buyers do defend us very close to that range. Aapl, Aapl had a rising wedge. We were not able to hold above 260, so now we're starting to dip to about 258. We need to try to hold around that area, or else there's going to be a risk of Aapl dipping towards like the 256 area next. So please be very, very careful with it. For other factors out there, we have um, Palantir. We're starting to dip right here. We could get very close to about that 80.25 area as if we continue this trend. So it could be a small dip coming to Palantir as time goes on. That wouldn't necessarily be a surprise to me because we did talk about that yesterday. I was expecting the market to dip just a bit, but then I said to see if we get some kind of rebound. I also mentioned that there might be a lot of chop because of the options chain, so just keep that in mind, guys. That is what we are anticipating. But for others out there, we also happen to have the IWM Russell 2000. We're seeing something very similar. So I was hoping this would actually push a little bit more. It's about 228. We came a little bit short. We only went up to about 226 before slowing. So now we're testing support at 224. We got to hold this 224 area, or else there's going to be a risk of a little bit more downside. So please keep that in mind, guys. This is starting to chop around just a bit. It didn't go as high as I was hoping for. And now it's trying to slow here. So if 224 does not hold, there's going to be a risk of us dipping to about the 222s. So watch 224 as our main support. If not, 222 is coming. If we break past 226, we're going to look for a attempt for 228. But this looks like it might dip just a bit before we see anything else. So just keep that in mind. And then we'll have to see how things end up going from here. For other factors out there, we also happen to have Coinbase. So Coinbase is kind of flat right here. We're looking for support at 273 and resistance at 278. So we're stuck in the middle. Might be a small dip to about 268 if we end up losing support here. For Amazon, on a bit of a downtrend, we could be looking for a test of 225. We need to see if this bounces, or else this could be dipping closer to about 220, the 223s. So just be careful. Microsoft Meta is rejecting. I want to see this hold above 605 to turn bullish. I said if it did not do that, we're looking for a bit of a dip. And it was looking kind of dippy to me, so we're looking for an attempt to get back down to 600. If that does not hold, we're looking for 595 as our target, if not below that. Microsoft could be dipping a little bit lower as well. We need to get back above 440. Otherwise, this could be dipping closer to about 434. So watch that carefully. Google is going to be testing 195.62. If that does not hold, we're looking for a bigger dip to like all the way down towards like closer to 193. I would say. I think that this 50 EMA is going to trend a little upwards. So 193 is going to likely be coming if we don't hold 195 on Google. So watch that carefully, and we'll see how we end up reacting. So my view of the market is that we're going to dip a little bit. We'll have to see if critical support holds or not. If it doesn't, we could be expecting a dip in the market. So just keep that in mind, guys. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I'm hoping that we hold support and we try to bounce. If the market does do that, it could just be a small move just for the time being, because I also want to call out that even as we do either dip or if we try to bounce, there's going to be a lot of chop today because of the options chain. So just be careful. They're going to try to hurt premiums, most likely, looking at how balanced things are. So even if we do dip more, even if we do get a bounce, there might be a lot of chop that happens while simultaneously we kind of like downtrend or if we like uptrend. So be careful. We are looking for a small dip right here. We'll have to see if the market could hold support. If not, we dip even lower. And then we'll see if we bounce off the next support below that. So I called out the levels for you guys. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day, and peace out.